Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Muck on the Markets. As you can see, and you'll see from my cohort, who was my inspiration, we are on a Blackhawks Monday. Blackhawks look good, took game one against the Los Angeles Kings, that hotbed of hockey. Anyway, Muck, what do you have to say for yourself?
It was a great weekend for me. I got to watch the Blackhawks kill the Queens. A lot of my friends are big Queens fans, so it was really nice to talk crap. Having a really good weekend makes up for the horrible day I had on Friday. So,
It doesn't make you a bad person, Muck. We all have bad days, my friend. Although I'm sitting here in Hedgeland, I'm just like making, if I make 2 nickels as opposed to lose 1 nickel, I'm ahead of the game, I guess. But anyway, market kind of was very interesting today. Pre-market was really down quite a bit. Basically, from last night, it sold off 10 handles in the pre-session and then just vaulted once it opened up to, 81? I guess 1882 is about the high, and right now we're very near the highs of the day. Highs of the day were 1882.75. We're at 1882 even right now. But anyway, Muck, what we really want to get to is your picks, and in particular, let's talk a little professional wrestling. Let's talk about Vince McMahon and WWE.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it was a bad day for me on Friday because a position of mine that I'm accumulating in dropped down 8 points in everybody's face. I didn't buy it all on Friday, so that's not what I was doing. I wanted to, find out all the information. I've been buying today aggressively, but once again, I did not go from being a billionaire to losing, I think, a third of my wealth. I think he owns 52% of WWE stock, so he went from being a legitimate billionaire to now only being worth $750 million.
Well, he owns a different class of stock too, right? He owns, I don't know if they're A or B shares, but he has all the voting power.
Yeah, I think he does. I know he owns 52% of everything, and so let's talk about that. I read the reports. It sold off. They signed a new deal with NBC Universal to stay on the USA Network, and I guess people are quite pissed off that they didn't disclose how much money the deal was for. It's for 4 years, and people were thinking it would be this huge deal, and maybe the WWE did kind of say it would be a huge deal, and I guess what a lot of people are thinking, well, if it's such a big deal, why don't you disclose what the deal was for? They didn't do that. So people initially thought that, so people just guessed and said,
Well, what were they were actually lining it up against another deal that had been recently signed. And since I'm not in this issue, I've only followed it tangentially. But there was another deal, sports deal, that was signed reasonably quick. One of these ancillary sports deals that was signed for a hell of a lot of money. But my reading of the WWE deal was that, and I think it had grown on expectations that it would get a similar deal. Their deal, I think, only netted them about $500 million over a fairly lengthy period. Isn't that correct?
Well, it's 4 years. So, let's keep that in mind. It's not like a 20-year, 10-year, kind of thing. And I think a lot of people who knock the stock, I think this is a thing of they're not watching the product. I have been watching the product, and yes, they're phasing out very, very famous older guys, The Rock, Undertaker and whatnot. Yes, they're getting rid of those, but the new crop of talent that they're bringing up are phenomenal actors, people who have charisma and are just phenomenal. I think a lot of the people are underselling that they might just be able to get that same kind of audience that they had in the the early to mid to late 90s, which were there killing it. I think this is one of the things where it's buy buy before the news, and then as soon as the facts come out, sell it. I think they oversold it, and as I told you earlier, I think that my average price is around 13 and a quarter, and I'm willing to buy that all the way down to an average price of $10 to $9. So, which is saying that if I'm willing to buy all the way down to $5 a share, essentially.
Muck, did I see that they put out some preliminary data on the new web service that I know you are a assigned member? Oh, they did, in fact,
Yeah.
about subscribers, and there was a subscriber disappointment in those numbers as well. Isn't that correct? I think they only had about, I want to say about 500,000 or 600,000 versus potential estimates of maybe 1.8 or 1.9.
They were looking for over $1 million or a million viewers. That was their big thing. They wanted to get over 1 million viewers before 1 million viewers when it first launched. I mean, they came pretty close. But I think what's getting lost in this is that if you buy the network, you got WrestleMania for free, essentially. You got WrestleMania for $10. If you don't have the network, you had to pay $60 for WrestleMania in HD. WrestleMania's pay-per-view gross profits were staggering, which means that people still went to the network and paid for the network, right? But a ridiculous amount of people bought the $60 pay-per-view. They were expecting everybody to go and sign up for the network to get it for cheaper, same HD quality. So that happened, but still the pay-per-view number was incredibly high when they were expecting very low numbers for that.
Well, let me ask you this: in terms of how does it work? Are you able to broadcast that on your TV via the service through Roku or an Amazon network, or Apple TV, something like that?
Apple TV, Roku, PlayStation 2, 4.
Okay.
The new
Google Chrome for that matter, because you can view it on your computer and shoot it to the TV. So
yeah, you can download the network anywhere and watch it, and then you can it's constant. It's constant everything. Whenever you want it, you can get it. So that's it's really a neat thing if you're a fan of wrestling. If you're a fan of just giant entertainment and you sometimes forget, I find it funny when I'm bored sometimes on like a late Sunday night. I'll go back and watch pay-per-views from 1994, and I'm like, I don't even remember this guy. This is it's like watching it all over again because you totally forgot what happened. It was 15, 16 years ago.
I guess that first date didn't work out well a couple weeks back.
No.
Anyway, let's go. Before we leave here, I do want to talk. I think you missed all of last week. Mark.
I did.
Not just one day, all of last week. You were ill. I mean, you had a host of issues. Do you want to address any of those real quickly?
Yeah. On Monday, I had a doctor's appointment. I had a infection on my foot, which had to get cut out. There was an insurance issue on Monday, so I had to go back again on Wednesday. They cut it out on Wednesday, so I was heavily sedated.
I saw you chatting it up on Twitter, and it was readily apparent, Muck.
That was me and a Raven trader having an argument while I was on OxyContin.
Yeah, not a good idea, Muck.
Yeah, I should have had the significant other take the phone away from me, but she didn't, and I was just, halfway coherent, rambling on. And then Friday came around, and, I just still was in, a lot of pain, not really wanting to do much.
Well, yeah,
Um,
you were in pain with WWE for sure.
well, I had foot
Uh,
pain, and then when I turned on CNBC and I saw WWE fall 43%, I want to kill myself pain, and it's not the best days to vent your anger.
yeah, I mean, somebody, I guess KRS pulled it up on in the chat room. It's off today. It's off 22 cents, off 1.9, almost 2%. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. But so Muck, you were a relatively low buyer. You're not terribly underwater here, and right now, for now, you're adding. Now, what's your pain target? What's your sell target?
Um, you know, on this one, on this one, my pain threshold is when it gets to about 10% of the portfolio. When my buying, I'll take it till I can't buy it anymore. Uh, like I said, I'll buy down to $5. I think anything below $5, then there might be solvency issues in the company. I don't think if it breaks its historic low, or which is like around $5, somewhere around there, then I'll really have to look at it. I just don't see it coming. So
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on it. I mean, the franchise hasn't gone away. It
yeah,
was, I think, largely a simple matter of the market anticipated he was going to get paid a hell of a lot more for the contract that he was bringing to NBC. Didn't get it, and the numbers on the new subscription, the sub channel, were
yeah.
not nearly as impressive as they wanted. So,
I
so we'll return to that, Muck. I think you've been beat up enough. I mean, unless you have something else you want to add.
I
We
think it's just
provide.
it. I think it's just a general thing of an overpromise, underdeliver fault. I think they'll learn from it from now on. I mean, if anything, I mean, losing 50%, 52 or 53% of your value of your company will tell you. Um, but we all have losers. Philip Morris is going good. 3M, I've been championing that for a while. I just hit an all-time, like forever high of over $140 a share. So this is a business where what we do is a lot like Major League Baseball. I don't mind going 300 for my career. I'm fine with that. I hear a lot of guys on the Twitter sphere and a lot of guys pitching paid subscription to get their trades and stuff like that. No one's 1,000%. No one's gonna be right every day. And if you are right every day, ask Stevie Cohen how that worked out for him being right every day. So
Well, I think in the Twitterverse, nobody loses kind of deal. There are some people that just have never posted a losing trade. Um, Timestamp Joe amongst them. But anyway, all right, let's move on to a couple other issues real quick here. We're almost near the end of our time. You want to give an update on Yahoo and your thoughts on that? I know I've seen some press out there recently kind of adding some questions, particularly about the ownership structure of Yahoo. You and I discussed it a little bit in the preliminary meeting. Something I think we'll have to revisit, but just generally your thoughts on Yahoo and what you're thinking there.
I still like Yahoo. I still have tremendous faith in Marissa Myers. I think if they can start driving more search content to their company, I think it's going to be really good. They own 20% of Alibaba. So, the more red hot this IPO gets, the more money Yahoo's going to make, and that needs to be really factored in. I'm trying to get the red herring filing for Alibaba so I can go through that with a fine-tooth comb. Because I'm thinking about buying some. It really comes down to it is the biggest internet retailer in China, and a lot of people like to buy stuff online on China. They're very much a bandwidth nation, even more so than we are.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I did hear some numbers. I can't quote them, but I did hear a report. It was actually may have been on NPR, where they actually did an analysis of it, and the numbers are somewhat staggering. Um, Interestingly enough, just one other little point I want to make on Yahoo is Yahoo did launch a competitor to this service, to the Google Chats on Yahoo, which I kind of glanced at. I glanced at one video. I can't even tell you what the name is. It's Yahoo something or another, but they have their own HD system that's set up for broadcast too. So interesting. It's something I have on my kind of to-do list. But anyway, let's move on from there. Another one that you had been looking at, a couple of times we've discussed it. I think you mentioned in the pre-show that it had kind of stagnated, and that is GE. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much stagnated. You know, I still like it. I want to see them get back more into, you know, gas and oil exploration, which they're trying to do. I want to see them finally spin off all the consumer credit crap. You know, I know they're in the midst of trying to buy a you know, a train manufacturer in Europe, and I like all that stuff. Getting back to the core GE is what I want to see. I want to see how the spin-offs of the credit and the plane leasing do. You know, we might get a pop. I mean, I still think that it has room to go to 35, so I think there's still tremendous potential for this company. We just got to, you know, it just needs to get out of its own way, kind of. And
well, it's gonna take them a long time, a longer time than it took Jack Welch to build it up. And you know, for a guy that is such a deified CEO, I think my own personal opinion is Jack Welch was kind of a horse's ass. You know, he was the one that stuffed this company full of businesses that were a lot more sizzle than steak. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And it clearly went away from its historical basis as a company.
Yep, I would agree with that. It's you know, that was you know, one of my bigger losers. So you know, it's just one of those things where you got to do. You know, you got to take what comes. And you know, since we're towards the end, I would like to applaud Manchester United on signing a great, amazing coach, and I think we have a bright future in front of us.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I saw the Gunners were able to finally get some hardware in their trophy case yesterday, so good for them. Although they couldn't get it done in regular time, let 2 goals in against Hull City very early, I think 6 and 8 minute mark, and then had a struggle back and actually win in extra play. So it was interesting. I had a very unsuccessful betting weekend, although the Blackhawks bailed me out somewhat, so that I still was still able to wear a shirt today. So I'm happy about that. Well, Muck, we touched on a couple of issues. Usually we keep this to 15 minutes. We're at 18 now, so we'll call it a day, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Sound good?
That sounds perfect.
Well, thanks for joining us, Muck, and thank you for coming in, folks. Have a great day. Be safe out there.